I hope you grabbed your snacks. Welcome back, everybody, to PCC number 5. Without further ado, let's just jump right into the draft. Okay, Mr. Meds, you talked about, the target ban strategy. Who would you like to see banned looking at this draft?
Yeah, so I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to throw some target bans in the second game here, just to try to see if even worse timing can throw professors off their game here. I think taking away that Richter, we have seen it be, go into the jungle. We have seen it be support. We have seen it be offlane. So it is a huge flex pick. I think that's actually a pretty good ban here. So I think taking that off, and then we do see the phase come off, pretty stark standard. The trend of professors here, we have seen that they don't want to play for it or with it, and they don't want to play against it. So we'll see what even worse timing comes out here. I would love to see a Richter ban here, though.
Yeah, as you said, I don't think they'll do it, but I think they either ban it or they take it away. I think they'll probably be on the side of maybe taking it away, but then again, you don't really associate Richter with 6. You kind of associate him with like Chimera, the Crunches, the more aggressive playmakers. And obviously we've seen Felix play like the Steel and the Sevrog. He could take the Richter. But as you said, they just ban it, get rid of it. They don't want to play with it. They want to see if Crazy Fool can play anything else other than Richter. But let's see what they follow up with that. I assume they're probably going to take one of the power picks like Deca, maybe even the first rotation Gideon that we've seen in the past.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good call. I think it's going to be one of those 3 power picks that we've seen. That Belica, Decker, Gideon right off the bat here. So we'll see what it comes in. It is the Gideon. Really good. Really good at zone control here.
I think this is also a strength for Seismic, like a comfort pick for him. Like obviously we saw in the previous game that he struggled on the gadget, whether that just be he just woke up and just got on the game or didn't warm up or whatever the case is. He didn't look himself, so hopefully he can rectify that into going into this game. Obviously, even worse timing still have options here. The gadget is still open. Sevrog is still open. I think the Sevrog will be taken here just so that the professors don't have it. And they take the Belica and the Deca, obviously the 2 flex picks we talked about in the past. And we have seen the Deca in the mid lane, and obviously the Belica can be played in both roles as well.
So I guess my question here is, does professors pick up that Sev here? I don't really think that goes with their play style. We have seen Violence be on those more aggressive picks. So I'm not sure they're going to pick it up. I think they might actually just let this slide, and even worse timing might be able to pick that up. I would like to see them pick that up if it is not picked up by professors in that 3rd slot there, because I think they would ban it in phase 2. But what's interesting to see here, we do have the Chimera and the Fang Mao, really good at that split push strategy like we've been seeing them taking at all these games here.
Yeah, I think professors like bread and butter is like Violence, Nitro, what do you want? And just kind of letting them have it and kind of just seeing what they can do. That Violence has created leads and obviously impacting the map. Nitro, we saw in the previous game, impacting the map and creating leads. And again, it's just comfort for them. Like, you can ban the Crazy Fool out, but I don't really feel like he has that game. I mean, he has the game-winning impact with the hooks, but just not as much as Violence as Nitro have had in these previous games. So obviously we see the Drongo takeaway, very strong on Pablo, and obviously a very strong character for Survivor. But obviously we did see in the previous game that he can still dominate in a Twin Blast. He's not a Drongo one trick, so I don't really feel like this is really just takeaway. It's more just like comfort for Pablo. It gives him safety with the R in team fights, and obviously allows him to play a little bit more aggressive, which we've known Pablo to be.
Yeah, I think this Drongo pickup is actually a good pickup for even worse timing. As we look to the next 2 pickups for professors, I would assume that we're going to see a Narbash come out of professors here, because we have seen a lot of supports be kind of taken off the board with that Decker, Belica, and Richter. We've seen him play all 3 of those in this tournament, and we are probably going to see the Narbash come out here. But we do see the TB, that's comfort for professors, be taken off. So we're looking at maybe like a Murdoch coming out for Survivor here. We might see that Murdoch Narbash dual lane there.
Yeah, you take away the survivability and obviously the dash from the TB, and I'm not too sure about the Narbash because they have Belica, Deca, Drongo. There's a lot of interruption there. I mean, obviously he does build the True Silver, but it can be popped relatively easy, and Crash Bam Boom is not really going to have much impact unless they have no CC remaining. So I guess Crazy Fool can wait that out and kind of use it in the mid of the team fight to kind of use it for peel. rather than offensively. But we see the Greystone picked up from Even Worse timing. We haven't seen Felix play this yet, as to my knowledge. So this could be in the jungle, or it could be in the offlane. We have mostly seen it in the offlane. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that we have seen it more in the offlane than in the jungle. But obviously it's a good matchup into the Feng Mao.
Yeah, either way, if it goes against the Fang Mao or the Chimera, I think it's a good matchup. Greystone has, had that really good clear speed. While it doesn't have that great gank potential, it still has that really good clear speed, and it's really good into the Fang Mao, kind of taking away that passive with his own passive. So I think it's really good. We do see the Murdoch and the Muriel. I was saying that it might be Narbash, but it is Muriel. I think this is a really good pickup to kind of enable that split push strategy as well.
Yeah, I want to see Crunch. Yeah, as I said, I want to see Crunch. I want to see something that Six can just go into the duo lane and just open this game up. Looking at Murdoch, looking at Muriel, if they get jumped on, there is no escape. Obviously, the Muriel can ultimate away, but there's pre-6 Muriel is you ain't getting away. Murdoch has the stim pack for movement speed, but you're not really going to escape. It's not a TV, it's not a Drongo. So I think that I really like Even Worse timing draft. I hope that they play around the duo lane this game and kind of leave Felix to play on his island.
Sounds like you're favoring EWT here, Cynic, but what do they need to watch out for when it comes to the Professor's draft?
I mean, obviously, keep an eye out for the Gideon. Those ultimates can create a lot of chaos in team fights, and don't let Survivor get the leads that he got in the previous game and allow him to kind of snowball the rest. And obviously keep track of Nitro, because he was doing a lot last game.
All right. Well, draft alone, Mr. Meds, who are you favoring?
I would say Even Worse timing here. I don't think Professors has that CC outside of the Murdoch traps to really contain this crunch. I feel that Six is probably going to run over this game.
All right, without further ado, game number 2. Take it away, our cold casters.
And we are back for game 2 here in Lance. How are you feeling about this draft? I think it's a very spicy draft coming out of the Professors with that Muriel Murdoch pick that I think a lot of people are sleeping on, especially viewers, maybe Mr. Meds a little bit as well. But what are your thoughts here, Lance?
I mean, I think that the Muriel pick just engages the entire team for Professors. We've talked in previous games in our PCC event about how Chimera likes to play on the other side of the map, and how having a character like Muriel who can ult over to her can keep that Chimera safe and keep them playing aggressive and setting that pace like Chimeras like to do. We've talked about how they've been leaving Violence kind of on his own and playing as a 4-man squad. Well, now if anybody ever rotates over to Violence to try to get that numbers advantage from them, you can flip that Muriel ult, you can just go straight into it, turn that numbers advantage into your favor instead of it being the opposite direction. And I think, honestly, if I had to pick which one of these comps I would rather play on, yes, there is a lack of crowd control coming from Professors here, but that's still what I am looking at. And the early pressure onto Seismic, once again, who is on his namesake champion here. They know that this is who they have to pressure here. Try to get Finesse to an advantageous early position up against Seismic, and early on the level 2 gank coming out of Nitro in the mid lane.
Great pressure coming out of Nitro with the Kai, understanding he has that easy aggression. All he needs to do is just leap, and he forced the blinks out on Seismic on that Belica. It is a comfort pick, but it is not very comfortable being just constantly camped and just pressured into that lane. So as long as Nitro is able to put that pressure on the Belica here in the mid, especially the next 5 minutes where she does not have the blink to really fall back onto, and if she doesn't hit that knockup, it's going to be a bad day for her.
Yes, and as you're saying, Belica can be an incredibly vulnerable champion. You know, no escape like a lot of the other mid laners have in their kit. Gadgets has got the speed gate. Finesse 2 on this Gideon here, gonna have the torn space to be able to portal himself away. Seismic's gonna have nothing but a frame 1 knockup in the hope that his little feet can shuffle him out of there in time. As we see, Six is gonna help defend, get this first river buff of the game over to Seismic, but a rock is going to land on top of him. He's going to get chunked even lower here, which should allow Finesse to pick up the pink buff over on the right side in the river.
And a pink buff is huge coming for the Gideon. It's going to allow him to get a lot more pressure onto Seismic with this lane clear. The drone being popped out, and that's really the big thing that comes out for Bellica, right? That drone just zones a lot of people, but Seismic pushing up without a blink with Nitro going over, torn space, a pressure out Seismic, but he does have 6 here. Can they just call this off? Or are they going to continue crazy full? Looking for a rotation, trying to pressure him out. 6 has to be careful. Going to have to dash out here, and I think they're just going to handshake and just call that a nice little even trade.
Oh yeah, walking on the knife's edge there for sure. Good job from Crazy Fool to walk down that river, try to start the numbers advantage for them. Once again, we will highlight the lack of crowd control on Professor's side as they're unable to really lock anybody down in that situation where it looked like Even Worse Timing was a little overextended. So look for Even Worse Timing to be able to identify that. They're just as smart as all of us, maybe even a little bit smarter. They also see that lack of crowd control over on Professor's side, and I think they're going to use that advantage use that to their advantage and try to get them early. But a little bit of early skirmishing is actually going to come out. Survivor's going to E forward, but a good cage from Vecron is going to stop the pursuit from Professors.
You do not need crowd control to hit your auto attacks there, Lance. Nitro in a bad position, gonna have to blink out, but nice little pressure coming in from 6. Violence is in a weird position, but he should be able just to sneak on by. He's gonna have to reset himself, and so is Nitro. But you see there's Survivor just hitting his autos there, applying that pressure with Murdoch, just not scared, even though he does not have the crowd control support that he probably would like to finish off that kill. But a lot of things that people are probably overlooking right now is the global ults coming out of the Professors. They have the Muriel able to save the day with a click of an R button, sweeping across the map, and then you have the long arm of the law there to try and give judgment upon anybody within the threshold.
Right, and you saw all of the big plays that came out on that ability yesterday. I don't believe any of them came from Survivor directly, but there were a couple of different ADCs that have really popped off with it. Some of the biggest highlight plays we've gotten in any of our PCC events ever have been with Long Arm of the Law. So that is now in the tool belt for Survivor under his disposal to try to get people from across the map as well, potentially as Crazy Fool is flying there to save their own teammate as well, really being able to turn around fights from all over the map here. The shield is going to actually miss on the Nitro, not really given the speed, but I don't think it was going to be enough for them to get onto Pablo and Vecron anywhere. Anyways, just kind of posturing to try to get this gold buff into Survivor's pockets as well here, I believe.
They're just trying to contest the gold buff. They're trying to push this wave in. Like I said, they're looking to pressure again. We saw them do this in game 1. Seismic trying to be a little bit sneaky. There's 3 members over on the right side of the map looking for violence, and he might be out of position here. There's not much he can do.
Oh no, he misses it.
Unfortunate with the reaping dash, and I don't think he has anything left, and down goes violence. But with 3 members on the map that just showed vision on the right side, this is a possible Fangtooth take for the Professors, and they do have the pressure in the mid lane to have that rotation come out. So we're going to have to see what decision is being made and what calls are being called out right now.
Yeah, and it looks like the call is going to be not to go for it. As you see Nitro finishing up his blue buff there, probably don't think they have enough lane prio within it. You see Vecron is going to check. He thinks that it may have been good for Professors to go start that Fangtooth, but no, they decided to stick to their farming and stick to trying to scale into this late game instead of taking that neutral game advantage that they could have had, and an early game lead for Even Worse Timing, only up that first blood right now, but it can really start to get out of hand, especially when 2 different members got an assist on that kill as well. So look for Even Worse Timing to just step on to that gas pedal, really start to pressure these guys down and push onto them. You see Shin once again entering this off lane up against Violence here. Both have hit level 6 at this point, which definitely benefits Shin here with that second life. Very hard to get the execute off on somebody who can turn to stone and get all of their health back like the Greystone can.
Yeah, Greystone level 6 is a menace for the Feng Mao at level 6, but we saw a little bit a while ago, roughly around a minute ago, we saw Crunch and we saw Seismic on the Bellica go inside of Nitro's red jungle and was able to pick up 2 out of the 3 camps inside of there, putting Nitro in a kind of deficit against this Crunch. And what you don't want is a Crunch that is ahead, especially going into this game right now. Down goes Survivor. unfortunately, we missed exactly what was going on, but they were able to capitalize on the CC, I believe, from Vecron with the Decker Ball. And this is going to be looking like the first Fangtooth attempt going for EWT.
Yeah, and you know, even worse timing has finally got their coffee into them. They have woken up. They see what happened to them in game one, and they are not okay with it. The perfect record has been blemished, but they are not looking to get or to roll over in this series, trying to push it to at least at least another one, trying to survive for another day. And you know, they're in a good spot to start that so far, already up 2 kills and a Fangtooth over Professors.
Yeah, and if we can get a nice little look with a little bit of dull time here at the tab screen, we can really see the differentiation coming in, not from really the CS, right? The farm has been closed since even in game one, the farm is closed, but it's where these kills are coming in. And like we talked about the assists, we got 2 assists, 2 kills coming on even worse time, and they're just applying the suppressor. So I think we're gonna have to see a little bit more of when this Muriel ult is coming in, since she is 6 now, to really see the impact and see if they can kind of change the tides of this fight for Professors.
There's the black hole. It's really big. The seismic assault had already missed. There's no way to get him out of this. Pablo is low. The second rock is going to land. And the long arm of the law is going to put him down. Finesse is in reverse, though, as 6 is going to punch him into spectator mode. Crazy Fool and Nitro need to back up. The seismic assault is going to land onto 2 of them. Blinks are going to come out from Crazy Fool, who is going to be able to put a shield on to Nitro, and they're going to back up. So that is a 1-for-1 trade, trading Finesse for Pablo in that team fight.
Great black hole coming off on top, forcing Blinks out, but Pablo has to get out. But the long armor of the law was there. It is kind of unfortunate with the seismic pistol P. Bellica coming out there to clean up that kill to make it a 1-for-1 trade. Got the blink out of Miro as well, but honestly, I think that's what the Professors needed, just a little bit of more confidence to be like, you know what, guys, if we can pull that off, we can probably pull this off even more going into the mid and late game. So let's focus up. Let's get these rotations on point, and we can get ourselves back into this match where we want to be.
Yeah, and that all starts with the miss on the seismic assault from the Bellica in the river over there. That allows Finesse to be able to take that torn space, get up on top of the dual lane of even worse timing, and really open that rift, start that black hole that really popped that team fight up. Did get caught a little bit deep. 6 comes in, punches him down with the robot hands, but a little bit of gold over to Professors now. They did get that kill over to Pablo as well. Went on to Survivor with the long arm of the law. So the person that carried them last game starting to get a little gold into his pockets this game. That's what you want to see. This Murdoch, as he hits the late game, starts doing so much damage. And they need to keep pace with Pablo if they want to be able to stand a fight or a chance in these late game team fights.
Yeah, and as we see over on the Professor side, they're pressuring out that dual lane T1. But something I do want to highlight is the 2 wards that are inside Professor's red side jungle right now. So they have a lot of deep vision. They're looking towards Mini Prime right now, and they could see everything coming from a mile away. But they give it to Seismic on this here, and that's kind of a little bit different from the game plan they've had throughout this entire series. So are they trying to give Seismic this hand just to try and get down this T1, open up the rotation that he can do? And we're just gonna have to wait and see here, because this T1 does not have a chance, especially with the rotation of Vecron coming over to secure this T1 tower.
And it is a little unlike 6 to miss a hunt, but you have to wonder if that was intentional. Maybe they're trying to give that over to Shin, and Seismic just kind of gets it with the last little tick of damage. No matter what, it's going to equate to probably a tier 1 falling here in mid lane. 3 members from Professors are going to come over and clear this wave up, try to help Finesse keep his defenses alive, as playing into Bellica, who has the mini prime ult or buff at 12 minutes, has got to be terrifying. The wave clear that they have, the inability to like push back into it, the extra damage that comes out can be so oppressive.
I mean, there's not much they can do. They stopped Finesse's back twice now, but Muriel's not going to be able to clear this wave in time. She's going to have to be careful because Crunch is on the opposite side of the map. She does have her ult, but I don't think Crazy Fool should be there trying to defend this T1. Just let it fall and kind of just get yourself over towards your team, because there is a second Fangtooth coming up, and you're going to have to be ready for that fight, and you don't want to be on the back end of getting pushed into your tier 1 to get the advantage over the even worse timing. You want to be the first people in that pit, want to be the people that get the position that you want from there. But Six kind of stalking, looking like, but he misses the maybe dashed into the wall there. Not too sure what happened, but definitely the potential of getting a kill on the Muriel is not there anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, Crazy Fool does end up letting that tier 1 tower fall regardless of him being there to do it, potentially trying to posture for, you know, the big ult coming out of Muriel. They left Survivor over there alone to catch a little solo experience, catch a little gold, but Six was wise to that, and he was over near that 3 camp. Nitro came to try to defend it as well, but I think that they were trying to catch them off guard with that Muriel. No fight ended up really popping off, so we'll never really know the true answer, but this is Professors looking at this first Fangtooth for themselves. Six is going to catch himself onto Crazy Fool, do a little bit of damage, but the turnaround is here from Professors, and that's going to be Six having to run away. He does have a bit of sustain being on Crunch, but he's going to be out of this fight. But I don't believe Professors are in a spot where they feel comfortable being able to take this. The ult is going to come out of Nitro pretty much right away, but it's not going to land onto too many of them. Survivor's going to get picked very early in this. The Decker ult's going to land onto Crazy Fool as well, and that's going to be him falling. Only Nitro is going to remain. The Decker ball is going to hit him in the back, and that should be an easy 3-kill pickup for even worse timing now, which is gonna allow them to sneak into this Fangtooth pit, pick up the second Fangtooth of the game for themselves.
We see where Finesse 2 back there. I don't know if the call was made, but going in on that fight was not the call. You do not have the CC to match a Bellica and a Decker there with a silence coming from the Drongo. I would have not taken that fight, and I think that was just a bad call there and misplay that cost them the second Fangtooth of the game going in here. But I mean, we're looking at the items. Crunch finally on his Mutilator going into his augmentation. He does have Witch Stalker. There's not a lot of CC that can really stop him, but him having the Witch Stalker increases his chance of not being able to be stunned. But Bellica with the combustion going in, just the damage that's going to be coming out of her is insane right now.
Yeah, and we see Nitro on the Chimera down 20 CS 2-6 on the Crunch right now. We talked a little bit yesterday about how Chimera is sort of a stat stick, really easy to set tempo with and play when you are ahead. But if you are behind, he does not feel very good. You just kind of jumped your life, and another fight is gonna come out. They're once again gonna be able to focus on the Survivor and wear them down, and that's gonna be all of the members of Professors turning to run away. Is that Decker ball gonna land down on top of him? That would have been fantastic. It does not happen. Torn Space is gonna be followed by Shin and by Six. You have to keep running, Gideon. They are right behind you, but he's gonna be able to get back into the safety of his tier 2 tower before any real follow-up is gonna come out. But once again, a fight going in the favor of even worse timing in this matchup.
They do have this side of potentially going into a longer game and turning things around, but at this rate, I don't think that's going to happen. Even worse timing is playing the game they want to play, and we saw Professor shut them out last game, but this game, it is not looking so good for them. They're going to have to take a nice little mental reset, go back in with a different game plan of making sure, one, you at least have vision before you dive into an enemy side jungle for a kill, and understanding where the full kill potentials are, because that is twice now that have gone into a fight that just did not honestly make sense. There was nothing there for them really to pull it off. They don't have the hard CC or enough of it, at least, to really just kind of get together in that fight. And honestly, there's not really too much they're going to get to if they don't fix this problem.
Yeah, but stop me if you've heard this one before, but while we're distracted talking about the other big plays that are going on in the game, Violence sneaks over there, gets the completely solo local gold on the offlane tower, which does open up the ability for that Fang Mao to be able to move around, also evens up the amount of towers that have fallen for both teams here today. The Mini Prime did they just take it, or is it about to respawn? It looks like it's about to respawn, actually. gonna be able to get one more in before that 20-minute mark where the Big Daddy Prime spawns. Interesting to see who they gave this over to. They gave it to Seismic last time. He is here in order to be able to potentially take it again. I would, however, be a little surprised. And yeah, here we go. They're going to get it on the Shin this time. Try to even up that pressure into the off lane. Although the wave is pushing back towards their tier 2. We also have Survivor and Crazy Fool coming over here with a little bit of pressure. Pablo's going to have to ult to get himself away, but he's in the execute range. Violence doesn't even need to use it. Get a proxy this wave, and that should be the tier 1 following in the duo lane as well. The rest of the members of EWT are roaming over here in order to be able to try to defend it, but it may be too little too late as they have Survivor and Nitro cracking at it, and just like that, yeah, it is gonna fall down. So good map play coming out of Professors here, taking the lead in how many turrets have been taken in the game.
And this is what we need from them, right? We need them to get their numbers advantage. We need them to be able to counter push, because we know that the Greystone has the mini orb prime here. So he's going to be able to push that lane. They sent somebody over like a Gideon that can wave clear very efficiently to contest that, to stop him from getting as much pressure as he think he could, with also the mobility to stay away from him in this lane. So not a lot coming out of Shin with that mini orb prime because they're able to contest, but Violence and Gideon are looking over here for Finesse too, gonna try and pressure it out, unable to really catch anything, so they're gonna have to back out here and take a reset. But what a great trade, and we have our third Fangtooth coming up here in less than a minute, and I really want to see the full potential of the Professor's team fight here come out and play. I want to see that mirror ult coming in on the right target like the Chimera or the Gideon, and I want to see these traps laid out by Murdoch beforehand. They need to get in the position before the even worse timing gets there and outplay them and be smarter in this situation.
Yeah, and I mean, we were trying to find ways that Professors might be able to overcome this deficit that they found themselves in early. And in this situation, I think Violence actually is the answer. We saw him get that tier 1 over in the duo lane, immediately push the pressure that we were talking about over into the duo lane to pick that tower up as well. But they have to defend this if they are Professors. They cannot allow them to get this third Fangtooth, or the power spike is just going to be potentially too much for them to deal with. But Nitro is getting knocked up. He is in the bounce house. He's going to get put into spectator mode this early as well, and Crazy Fool needs to take a run for it as well. That looks like there's not a whole lot more following up, but as I say that, I get proven to be a liar, as Finesse is going to use the black hole, but it's on top of a stasis from the Belica. Gonna have to back out as well, and Six is in the backline just absolutely punching Violence. The execute is going to land onto nobody. He's going to get executed himself. Actually, Pablo has fallen in this fight already, and Seismic's health bar is starting to get low, but Survivor's shooting into the wall. Not going to be able to penetrate that with your normal bullets, and it's going to end up being Fang 3 going over to even worse timing, unless there is a hero play here. Nitro is back up, but they should be able to get this down well before somebody like Nitro is going to be able to jump in here to get it. That's Fang 3 for even worse timing.
Fang 3 indeed. They sacrificed the Pablo and they sacrificed Seismic 4, but they were able to clean it up. Nitro still trying to peek, trying to get a little bit out of it. Finesse 2 looking as well deep inside the red jungle, but he does not have enough mana to really do anything. Third Fangtooth for even worse timing. Oh, this is not looking good for Professors. They now are at a permanent disadvantage until they can catch up with Fangteeth, whatever you want to call them, or they need to get the Primordial Blaze here and the Orb Prime to really contest even worse timing when it comes to just having that just permanent buff.
Is 6 to 9 kills at this point in the game as well. That is pretty nice if you are cheering for the Hamsters, and even worse timing at this spot. 3 Fangteeth up as well, but all of their tier 1 towers should fall as this wave is crashing into the mid lane to take the last one as well. No local gold for Professors on it though, but everyone's gonna be posturing and looking around this Orb Prime pit. This game is gonna get bloody, and it is gonna get explosive any minute now, as we have surpassed the 22-minute mark in this game. These people are starting to hit item spikes, and you see Pablo potentially getting caught out by Violence here. You do not want to try to 1v1 a Fang Mao if you are Pablo. That isn't necessarily what he was trying to do. Violence kind of caught him out of nowhere, hopping over the wall like that, but that's a wonderful pickoff for Professors as we are talking about the importance of posturing around this Orb Prime buff.
That's what Violence is there to do. He doesn't need to necessarily be in the offlane all the time, but him being able to be a second jungler in the like full scope of things is essentially what he's doing right now. Being able to get those picks, being able to flank correctly, and he's doing such a great job. It's just so unfortunate that the rest of the team can't fulfill in those roles going into these fights, and they're just getting picked a little bit too early, or just not early enough that they're getting into these damage in the fights. But if they can keep getting Violence to get fed here, have him pick out Pablo, have him pick out maybe even the Bellica, to be honest with you, with the just negating one more CC that they have inside their team comp, I think they can turn this around going into the Or Prime fight coming here soon.
Yeah, and you keep talking about, the people getting caught out into these different spots. I think that has a lot to do with the fact that Crazy Fool isn't playing a crowd control heavy champion like we've seen him play on some of these other ones. Having, still a big impact on the Muriel, although it doesn't come into a little bit later in the game as those shields start to get very large once she gets a couple of items in her toolkit as well. But early, it's a little bit of a struggle for her. She's going to have to wait to come on late game. Also doesn't have an insane amount of ability to peel Survivor, which may have a lot to do with how you're seeing him get picked out early within these fights in these games.
Violence almost catching a little bit of strays coming in from Pablo and background, but was fortunately available to just kind of just run out of there. But I really see this a little bit of a pressure going on in mid lane. Is it going to be able to catch him? Shin just running at Nitro, and just Nitro is running scared because that is a 3-level ahead big boy that you do not want to fight with 2 lives. So understandable there from you, Nitro. I think I want Professors to do something here. I just don't know exactly what they need to do, Lance.
I think that they need to look at the levels on their team. Crazy Fool is 9. Nitro is level 11, but both of their solo laners at level 15. Unfortunately, Violence is going to get picked at that exact moment that I am saying it, but they have 2 heroes on their team that are 1 level above any member of Even Worse Timing, and I think they need to bring them together. They need to try to start a team fight while they've got this little bit of a level advantage. Yeah, they're down a couple of kills. Yeah, they're down that 3rd Fangtooth as well, but I think their strength is going to come from trying to muscle them at this point. It may be a little too late once this Or Prime is picked up, as there's not going to be any contention with both Crazy Fool and Violence down. They're just going to have to give this over to Even Worse Timing. So now, instead of what I'm talking about, taking a fight head on, it gets turned completely on its head. It's turtle time, baby.
It's going to be time to turtle up like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I seen Professors be able to have a stonewall defense, and was able to just kind of get out of these sticky situations. Can they do it once more? Can they do it maybe 2 more times? Because they are pretty behind at this point in the match, and they're going to need to be able to do a lot of defending to really get themselves back in here. If they can pick up a couple kills, matter of fact, if they can even get the big old RGS ace, I think that will be big enough to turn the tides into their favor going into the late part of the game.
Yeah, and Violence is really the only one keeping pace here for Professors. The rest of their members starting to fall a little bit behind. There's a pursuit going on into their mid laner here, but he is going to be able to just jump away to safety. Not a whole lot to do about it, as Six is going to use the dashes on the crunch. Gonna claim the tier 1 tower over in the duo side for Pablo, but they have their eyes on a bigger prize than the tier 1 tower. They're gonna start up this primordial Fangtooth. You see Shin is actually basing, as there's a lot of Professors pressure over into this off lane side. They got 2 members pushing this inhib 26 minutes into the game, trying to find a way to alleviate some of this pressure. Long Arm of the Law is going to come to try to steal it, but the prediction from Survivor would have been very hard to accomplish, and it was a little bit early. Shin is going to come in here, going to be forced to ult, as he is in a 2v1, but still pushing W key at these guys. They are starting to go low. Violence knows he can take this fight now that the ult is down from the Greystone, though. Nitro's gotten caught in a bad situation in the middle of a sandwich as well, and he is going to fall, and it's actually Violence who falls to Shin during that. We looked away for a second after I said he could take that fight, and once again Lance is wrong about it. That's going to be Shin picking him up. So 3 members of Professors down, tier 2s being crashed by Even Worse Timing, and this is looking very bad for the side of Professors. They're now moving into the inhibs. What are they gonna do, F6?
I mean, they do have pressure inside the right lane with one inhib down, and tier 1 and a tier 2 need to go down. So that's going to be able to stall as much as they can. They're just going to have to kind of play defense with the left lane and the mid lane, try and get a little bit more extra XP into the members that are on the lower levels, try to get themselves back into this game. But it's going to be a long road. It's going to be a long journey, because right now, Even Worse Timing is ahead. They already got 4 objectives, 3 more considering the mini prime and the big orb primes, and they're just running away with their lead. And they're going to have to come in with not just 1, but at least 2 to 3 hard defenses looks into this next couple of fights, and they're going to have to try and come back through that way and try and hope for the best on a late game team fight that turns the tide into their favor.
Yeah, and their one saving grace right now, you talked about them only needing maybe 2 or 3 defenses. They do have a great defense to start that entire engagement, as they were able to pick up that inhib in the right lane. So that is going to make it very hard for Even Worse Timing to push that other side of the lane down, especially considering that at the time that inhib had fallen, the tier 1 was still up for the side of Professors. They have claimed that now at this point, got their eyes set to this tier 2 right now, but a little bit of extra protection for them with the super minions from the inhib being down, but they're going to make very light work of this. Even Worse Timing is just going to walk through this tier 2 tower. They have 4 members over here, now 5 members joining as they have gotten together. They do not care about violence split pushing over in the left lane. They say, go ahead, try to take that tier 2. We'll trade it for an inhib. We'll come back here, gonna get another reset off, get all of that gold they just got from taking all 3 of those inhibs, the tier 1, the tier 2, reset, fill up the purse, fill up the pockets, get back to the orb prime pit after that is done, take another objective and finish this game out. That's what EWT is looking to do.
Yeah, we still got a little bit on timers for the neutral objectives to really push in and finish this game, because those buffs are wearing off. We do see a seismic rotation. Can he hit the... Nope, he does not hit that seismic assault. Just going to be able to run away here with the violence. You really can't catch him. He's really squirrely, but this is the defense we're talking about. EWT posturing to be a little bit more aggressive inside the blue jungle, pushing out left lane and mid. So we're going to have to see what really comes out of this. Can they defend, or can Even Worse Timing just end the game coming up?
Yeah, and I don't feel like they've got the team fight in their advantage. They do have the ability to try to get to the back and blow a couple of them up, maybe if they get a really nice black hole onto 4 or 5 of them. But there are just so many ways to disrupt that ult from Finesse 2. There are so many things that Even Worse Timing has in their bags to be able to disrupt and win these team fights, like we've seen them do over and over and over again in this game too. And they are not looking to get put into an elimination spot, trying to even this series up at 1 game apiece, give the viewers what they paid to come here to see, and get a whole series out of these 2 for the big prize pool that will be awarded to the winner.
Yeah, as Muriel at level 10, while Decker is at level 12, Vecron is just a monster right now compared to supports for support, and I think that's a huge factor. I think that hard CC coming in from Even Worse Timing is just too powerful for the Muriel shields, and not just able to really get her to late game to really show those big numbers of the Muriel shield to come in. So I mean, they're doing such a great job of applying pressure, keeping them down, and honestly, I don't think there's really too much they can do to really come back. I think Even Worse Timing gets another rotation of double buffs, come back, finish this game out. But hey, I'm also might be doing the cast a curse and Professors just come around and turn it, right, Lance?
We are getting close to these inhibs respawning here. They see Shin over in the left lane by himself. They cannot commit too many members to it, however, as the Orb Prime has respawned, and they at least need to try to get Nitro over there. Survivor and Nitro both lagging behind us. Violence and Finesse 2 are potentially going to get caught out. The black hole is going to land on 0 people instead of the 5 that they needed it to, and Professors is going to have to turn and run away from this fight. Nitro is actually being pursued in the mid lane, getting ran down by Shin here. Also, oh my God, he is down 5 levels to the enemy offlaner at this point. He needs to keep it in reverse or he's just going to get put down. And that should be a very easy, very free or prime picked up. The black hole was down. Nitro was all of the way back near his core. That is clean, sweeping execution out of even worse timing, keeping the people have any contention out of the fight, away from the pit. This has been a textbook performance so far in game 2 out of EWT.
Flawless. Just great teamwork, great fights, the timing, the rotations, everything that they wanted to do in game 1, they did here in game 2. We see some contestant trying to bring them back into this game, but there's not much that you can do. They still got the primordial fake, and the blink does not go in the favor of Nitro. And I'm going to be honest with you, Crazy Fool in a bad position with no ult, no blink. Decker Ball comes in to secure another kill for even worse timing as they're holding down the W key, looking to bring this game back to an even series, Lance.
Yeah, and you know, it's more or less trivial at this point. Survivor and Violence are high-level players. They do have the mechanics to potentially be able to get a little bit of an outplay in here, but it's going to be so hard to clear those waves. Violence has got to get in front of them in order to be able to do it, and that's just going to be game 2 just like that. Even worse timing is going to even up the series 1 apiece. We've got a performance for you today. A show will be had. 1-1 in the series. We're looking like we're going to have a great one today, F6.
Yeah, and then we saw the assist at the end. It was 3-31, and we can guess who had 31 assists in that game. And just that's just how it goes sometimes. Game 2 down to even worse timing, 1-1 to tie this up, Lance.
Yeah, so what sort of changes are you looking for? What do you think that Professors needs to change really quick before we throw it back?
Honestly, they're going to need somebody with a little bit of hard CC. Maybe getting Crazy Fool on the Narbash is going to be looking good for them, or just somebody else. I don't think Muriel's to play Survivor, or not Survivor, but Crazy Fool, does not play really in that backline sort of situation. He needs something to facilitate for his team, and I don't think Muriel was doing that for him that game.
Perfect. Well, we're going to throw it back to our desk for a little bit of analysis as well. Take it away from us, Ardog.
Thank you, Lance and F6. Oh my goodness, my heart is really racing right now. Game number 2, our analysts favored the draft for EWT, and EWT had the better time playing. You know, you have the Decker Ultimate Ball, Belka Knockup, Crunch Uppercut, Greystone Ultimate, and the Drongo Silence. Cynic, what just happened?
Well, Seismic decided to wake up and join us for today, so there's that. So, yeah, I mean, you just saw what EWT bring to the table that they were missing from the previous game. They had lane control. They always had priority in the lanes, which allowed Six to get into the enemy jungle and take resources away from Nitro and set up vision. Like, you saw Nitro there, 5 levels down on the off lane. He had 0 impact apart from slight little early skirmishes, but he didn't have the impact he did previously. Violence was trying his hardest to carry the whole team on his back, trying to blow up Pablo at any opportunity he had. Pablo with some questionable decision-making in position, but we'll talk about that another time. But like, it was just what we expect from EWT. Don't fall behind, stay in your lanes, win your matchups, and get Six in those situations where he can take resources away from the enemy jungler.
What a performance by EWT. Mr. Meds, tell us what happened in game number 2.
You know, I used this word yesterday, but dominance. I think EWT had a very dominant performance here. We said it before we went into the game, and I think it held true that Six on that crunch was able to just facilitate his entire team and just kind of run over, you know, Professors in that game. I think it's important to, you know, bring up what F6 just said before they threw it over to us. We need to see some sort of facilitation, some sort of go button on the Professor side going into game 3 here. It's going to be really interesting to see how this picks and bans switches up, because I think that the answers from EWT were really, really smart in the second game.
Oh my goodness, there is a reason Seismic's name is Seismic in honor of Belica's seismic assault. But, last question before we go for a break. Cynic, when are you fixing the walls?
Fix walls.
Go ask CEO.
All right, guys, $2,800 is on the line. It ain't over till it's over. Hold on tight. Grab more snacks because next up is game number 3.